Of Afropreneur Summit. I'm Claude Shirati, and as usual, I have with me Fundi Kira Kipaya, our transformational coach, all the way from Sydney. How are you, Fundi?
Very good, Clyde. Thank you for having me.
Sure. Tonight we continue our conversation. We're still talking about mindset. We're talking about entrepreneurship, and we're going to start really focusing on the very important topics that focus on how we can encourage and facilitate entrepreneurship within our community. The fact is that there's still a very low participation of the African Australians in the entrepreneurship space. So there's still a lot of room to grow, and we're going to have a chat around what is causing that low participation and how can we stimulate more participation so that more of us become more entrepreneurial and become successful in what we do. So, Fundi, let's start with some of the reasons why I could explain the low participation of African Australians in, or Africans in general, in entrepreneurship. I guess I would say it all starts from the mindset, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. As an individual, yes, your mindset, especially if you believe in growth mindset, probably you will find a way to learn how to do this. But if your mindset is just fixed and believing that you don't have abilities to increase your capacity in any field, you will be doomed to stay in stagnant position. And also security, you want to have security, and most of us, we don't participate at a level where we're comfortable enough to have enough resources to transition into another part. So mostly we feel better to be employed, and thinking about the transition is too hard, and we end up just surviving in one area and not grow and participate in the area which can increase your capacity and improve your income and revenue.
Sure. So I suppose from the mindset, excuse me, a lot of us have been conditioned in society where we mostly just think of jobs. So there's this job mindset that we have that has to change. And then you mentioned fear, because when you get a job, it gives you some sort of security in terms of income. You have a regular check, or you get paid every fortnightly, every week, every month, whatever frequency it is, and that's sort of a secure form of income. And if you think of business, it can be a very complicated world. It's complex, and nothing is really guaranteed. So people may hesitate to leave the security of a job and venture into business. That's what they call it, business venture, because it's really an adventure of some sort where it might or might not work, but you have to believe in what you are doing and prepare yourself accordingly. So what can be done, Fundi, to, I suppose, encourage people not to give into the fear that comes, because people might want to look into launching themselves into entrepreneurship. They understand that it's a good thing, but that fear of crossing that line without necessarily being very sure of what they can expect on the other side. How do you go about to trying to change that?
Well, to change that is to address that uncertainty people have, which is, if you're by yourself alone, your limitation, your thinking is limited, and that limitation can keep you stagnant like that. But if you embark on participating in environments where people of these skills and experiences are around, you'll be able to get what they're sharing about their experiences, and that might expose you to an environment where you can dare to try and change, because you're dealing with people who have already done that before, and they share their experiences, and you might be encouraged, and that can build courage for you to participate in entrepreneurship.
Okay, so that's kind of the community participation aspect of things. I totally agree with you that for these sort of things, if you're on your own, just trying to figure out everything, it's going to be quite hard. You might still succeed. There are people who've done things on their own and have been successful, but it's relatively easier if you immerse yourself into particular community settings. And by community, I mean people, not necessarily people from your own background or tribe or national background or anything of that type, but a community of people in terms of the purpose, the issue or the subject of networking, and therefore there is that sort of collective encouragement, and you can sort of leverage on the knowledge, the experience, and insight of others that can help us. And that's what's lacking in our communities, Fundi, I suppose, because we don't have the leadership, the structure, the institutions that can help people to be able to connect to the knowledge, to the wisdom and experience of those who've done it and who can help new people to get into it.
That's correct. Institutions, as we say, it's very important, but institutions comes with leadership, and leadership should understand how institutions work to centralize coordination of these sort of experiences to bring it to the fore for the people to be able to even have a forum or a platform to participate better. Organization basically is required, not just mobilization.
Organization is required, and that's the reason why we put together the Afropreneur Summit Australia as a platform, really to help people in the community to start thinking and taking action when it comes to entrepreneurship, because ultimately you may have the right mindset. You may also potentially not be fearful to cross that line, but you need people around you, and you need the platforms that enable you and the people that you are working together, that you're working on that journey with, to be able to do things together that help you to make some inroads into the journey of entrepreneurship. So lack of knowledge, I suppose it's one other thing. You may want to do business, but you need to know what you want to do. You can't get into it if you don't have sufficient knowledge, Fundi, isn't it?
Correct. Lack of knowledge is the biggest out of all of this, because and clarity is important, because you might have many questions and you have no one to ask. You might have bad experiences and you have nowhere to go and share, or you might even have success stories which you could share with other people, and that can scale your potential, not just you and your community members.
Okay.
So sharing knowledge.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue, please.
Yeah. No, sharing knowledge. Yeah.
Sharing knowledge, it's very important, and that's what I said. If I've started a business and I've encountered difficulties, and I've also been able to overcome those difficulties, then the next person who comes to me and wants to do the same thing, they can benefit from my insights, rather than them going on their own and making the same mistakes and potentially quitting because they didn't do the right thing. So the knowledge that you get, both in terms of learning, reading books and going to seminars, watching videos and all that sort of thing that you can do, as well as the knowledge that comes from interacting with people who have the right knowledge and experience. All that gives you the knowledge capital, which you would definitely need to be able to become successful, or even at least to start your entrepreneurship journey. Now, we've identified some of these things, Fundi, that explains the low participation. Now let's get into how to actually stimulate, how to increase the participation of African Australians, of Africans in general, in entrepreneurship. What are some of the things that come to your mind, Fundi?
Well, we have to lay down institutional infrastructure, but this requires particular leadership which cares about these communities to build that institutions which will be the platform for people in the community to have a point of reference in matters of entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
and that's very important. Yeah.
Okay, so when you talk about leadership, I suppose it starts from self-leadership, doesn't it? You have to be able to lead yourself because entrepreneurship is like a journey that you are taking. You ought to be able to know where you are going, what is it that you need, and how. If you don't have everything that you need, how are you going to acquire them? If you have some things that you can use, how are you going to use it in the best possible way? So self-leadership does obviously matter, but then also comes with community leadership. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, so community leadership is important because, first of all, role modeling, that's one. But two, knowledge and skills, which comes from leadership to 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 motivate people to aspire for bigger things, because now they can see these things are in front of them. They expect support from leadership. So leaders are very important in any community. And some leaders might not be leading from the front, they might be leading from behind, they might be leading by example. All these type of styles of leadership are important to be visualized and to be seen and to be felt around the community for other community members to mimic and try to do something similar or even bigger.
Yeah, and I suppose this gives me some food for thought because, I mean, I've been in Australia for quite a long time, and I've seen over the years there's a degree of dynamism when it comes to a whole host of things. You see people creating lots of associations, lots of churches, lots of sport activities, lots of entertainment, but that is not going into the entrepreneurship space. What seems to be the problem, at least in the commercial sense of things, because you can always argue that creating a sport activity is some form of entrepreneurship, or even starting a church or stuff like that. But when it comes to actual businesses, we don't seem to transfer that same degree and level of dynamism or energy into this field. Why is this happening?
Well, I believe, and this is my own observation, we are not human beings. We are not designed to survive for too long, and that gives us uncertainty. So, if we are in an environment of uncertainty, we need to breathe. And breathing for us is entertainment. It's something which we feel like it's a healing process. So we haven't finished yet to start thinking about taking other risks. Entrepreneurship is risk. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, and they don't want to bring about another uncertainty, and that brings that fear of failure we're talking about. Okay,
Mm.
so in this area we thrive because naturally we can perform anything where there is no what we say measurement. It's more like everybody's feeling like we're going somewhere. We're gonna strike an idea of just having fun and things like that. So when it comes to things where we have to be measured, it becomes serious, and that
Mm.
brings a little bit of that, yes, a little bit of that uncertainty. And what am I going to do now? So I need more knowledge, and where is the knowledge, and where do I access all these resources to do something like that? And that's why this idea of mobilization through entertainment is easier in our communities than organization of things like entrepreneurship, which requires more details on the numbers and resources and even the roadmap, like strategies and things like that. And that's why
Mm.
leadership is very important, like we say.
So I suppose you're saying, it's easy for us to do things that, kind of focusing on fun or don't require a high degree of organization, measurement, strategies, and all that sort of thing. but when it comes to serious stuff, we tend to shy away from it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, what I'm saying is there's no leadership in that area, so there's a vacuum, okay? But there's a lot of leadership in the entertainment side of things, even sports. Most of us, we've got this experience in sports, we've got experience in entertainment, like even arts of producing music and things like this. So that is something we've grown up with. Okay, it comes as a first nature, but the area of entrepreneurship is lacking because for whatever reason our education system doesn't really take us to that path, and mostly it prepares us to get jobs and then hold on to our jobs. Okay, so and this is problematic. Even if we look at in any angle, it is very difficult to organize people to do things which require high responsibility. And this comes also from low self-esteem, or we can say self-esteem, self-trust is required for doing things like taking risk. And we think it's easy to, entertainment is not going to fail. You go out there, you bring a few drinks, with your friends, you joke.
Some food.
Yeah, you have food, and you connect with people who you haven't seen for a while. You do a little bit of positive nostalgia. You don't want to talk about negative nostalgia. Something happened which was bad. So this is our kind of like our opium. So when we come to this area, this is the area where we can breathe and we feel like we are healing. So you don't want to take another injury, go back into an uncertainty. Okay,
yes.
The unknown territory. You haven't, the uncharted territories to be challenged again, and then go back into fear and uncertainty. No, and yeah.
Naturally, you want to avoid doing that because it's the degree of discomfort that comes with that, isn't it?
Yeah. So remind you of that is the negative nostalgia of pain. You don't want to you don't want to go there again. Okay, it's like that the test of electricity. You already been zapped before. That memory is actually installed and internalized. You remember that, and that's not at the conscious level. It's at a subconscious level. You just know, like a child, even they're born today, if they get exposed to something hot, they will never do that again. They will never go back to that. Yeah, that's how they know. Yeah, you can tell the kid, "Hey, don't touch this; it's too hot." But if you let them touch it once and that's it, there's a lesson. So and we have kind of like gone to that path which we're scared and we fear to fail. Yeah.
All right. So before we finish, let's get into some practical stuff for people who are obviously entertaining the idea of launching themselves into some entrepreneurship journey of some type. I suppose. Entrepreneurship, when you want to get into it, it doesn't need to be really huge. And in fact, many businesses start very, very, very little. You start with a simple idea, and it could be just the idea of wanting to create an additional source of income or multiple sources of income, because we know nowadays, especially right now, the cost of living is biting and all that sort of thing. And people may want to create. And one job may not be sufficient. You want to get into something that will create and bring additional income into the family. That's where a lot of times these sort of things start, isn't it?
Yes. That's like what they call the Kaizen theory, where you start slowly and you do incremental progress towards something, but again, we get caught up with, how do we transition from having a job into going into uncertainty of your own flow of income or revenue to support yourself. And that is very challenging. So having mentors maybe around or people who can coach you in the area where you lack is very important. So, so that experience, you require exposure, really.
Yeah. All right. So you want to create multiple sources of income. So it's just that sort of some sort of formula on how you can get yourself into entrepreneurship. You now need to find what is it that you can do to bring that income in? So I suppose every business is about providing a solution to some problem. So look, it's a bit like you need to find a problem that you can solve, and that is the beginning of the journey in your entrepreneurship venture, isn't it?
Absolutely. But one other thing, well, most important attribute for entrepreneurs is, you identify the problem, but you also have to develop this ability for imagination on what the solution is going to look like. So to end, to think about it, and then develop that idea into something tangible, and then being able to develop that idea and then test that idea and then see if that solution is also viable, as in feasibility, as in you can sell it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
entrepreneurship is not something you just do it for fun. Yes, you have to think about service giving, you have to think about problem solving, you have to think about solution provision, but all these things are software. So we want to make them into a hard, tangible thing, which you have to go through the ideation and develop it, designing and developing the whole idea, and then test it.
Yeah, because it could be it to some extent it's very easy to sort of think of, and we've all done that. You could be you are sleeping and you're dreaming, and even in the middle of the night, an idea comes to your mind. Oh, maybe I should do this, and when you're entertaining the idea in your mind, you say, this is a good idea. I think I can. I can do this, but it's one thing to entertain that idea in your head, and it's another to actually give it life in the real world. And that's why you need not just to want to give a solution, but be creative enough and be able to design and develop and test that idea first, even on a theoretical level, before you go into you launch yourself and you invest a lot into it, which is why even big businesses do market research to try to find out whether the idea, the project actually can hold water, isn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. Yes. You need to have that safety net, because you're going to take a risk, and you want to make sure that you don't go all out and then dismally fail. You want to retain a little bit of success, even if something doesn't work. Then you can pivot and come up with something else to add. So the idea of getting something through innovation, you can bend it, break it, and then blend it to get something else. So if you started with a square, you might end up with a circle, but you've got something. You've got something in it. Yeah.
Well, you got something, so that you need to look at the idea from all angles before you start putting a lot of money into it, a lot of energy and resources into it. Make sure that you've spent enough time to to understand fully what are all the implications. And that's where things like a business plan comes into it. You need to sort of try to develop the idea into a project where you associate all other things that will connect to it, and then you start to look at it, different angles and what are the implications of this for that and all that. If you want to start a business, if you register, what sort of what legal form you're going to take, and all that goes into it, the insurance and everything. So there could be a whole lot of things that needs to be done, and that's why it is recommended that you actually put together a business plan. And Fundi, you talked about imagination, innovation, creativity, all that goes into it, and the more you are you are able to refine that imagination and creativity, the better for you, because you can manage to actually give a new solution that nobody else has ever thought about, or it could be a solution that already exists, but you're coming with a different thing that you are adding that is giving you a bit of an edge compared to everyone else who's doing the same thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. So value adding is important, but all these things behind it requires that courage to go ahead and take action and do them intentionally, and setting up goals and saying, okay, I think this is something, I got something here, and then also being around a community of people who are all participants in the industry will also help you. Yeah, will help you. Yeah.
Yeah, and that really speaks to the whole idea of networking. So you need to connect to people who can bring value to your idea, to your journey, to your business, because you can't do everything yourself. You won't probably know everything yourself. You need to surround yourself with the right type of people, connect with the right connections, so that you can benefit from their wisdom, you can benefit from their experience and skills. Networking is your net worth, as they say. And then obviously there's the issue of finance, because in business is about really investing money and making money out of money. So you need to have find a way to get the money that you need to make things happen. And there are diverse there are different ways of getting the money and the finance. But I guess finance is a tricky issue. There are, I suppose, many different ways people can get finance, and that's the financial capital, the networking, which is a form of social capital. Once these two things come together, then it can allow you to move forward with a bit of confidence that you will be successful. What's your view on that?
I agree with you totally. And that is another skill which is required also to, even though you have ideas, you have to know how to communicate your ideas. If you're going to sit in front of people who are interested in your products, you have to know how to pitch. You have to communicate the idea to the strength of it and to be understood before you can convince people to think about investing in you and your business. So yeah, that's very important aspect of business, which is fundraising.
Okay, well, that brings us to the end of this specific edition of Afropreneurs Without Border. Fundi, thank you very much again for your input into this. Obviously, this whole platform is designed to equip members of the African Australian communities who are interested in embracing entrepreneurship. And this is all connected to the Afropreneur Summit platform, which has been established to facilitate, to help those who are interested in this to get into action. And I just want to remind you, as you're watching, that we have the Afropreneur Summit happening in Melbourne on the 9th of September, just about 4 weeks from now, and on 16th of September in Sydney. So if you haven't yet bought your ticket, please do so. And you can just go on Eventbrite and search for Afropreneur Summit Australia, and you will see the link both for Melbourne and for Sydney. And if you have any question or clarification, just contact us through this platform and we'll be able to answer. Fundi, your last word before we wrap it up? Entrepreneurship. That is the way to go. Entrepreneurship is the future. So we will be working hard to try to make sure that the community can be encouraged and we can put anything we have in place to facilitate that journey. Entrepreneurship. Be an entrepreneur because you're already one. We just need to know how to put it all together. All right, Fundi, thank you very much for your contribution tonight. And we will see you again next week on Monday for another edition of Afropreneur Summit.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me, Clyde.
Thank you. And for you watching, please share the video, like it, comment, and stay connected for all that we are publishing in relation to this. Thank you very much.